Nope. Yep. Nope. Yep. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of DFE. I am Black Cinephile.
I am AKA Brad.
That is AKA Brad, and today we have a surreal battle for you here. We got a surreal cinematic battle for you here. We've been this one's been planned for a while. We were waiting for the right slot to put it in, you know.
Yeah, this is one of these movies I've been fighting to get you to watch for a while now. And I'm glad that we could finally put this one into the schedule, because for the longest time I've wanted you to watch Swiss Army Man, which we are putting up against Sorry to Bother You.
Swiss Army Man versus Sorry to Bother You. Basically, in other words, what the is going on?
Yeah, two very confusing movies that have a lot of subcontext to them, and on screen, just a lot of weirdness, to put it very bluntly.
I don't see any subtext in one of these movies, but we'll get into it. We'll talk.
Oh yeah.
Before we hop in, anything new with you, man?
Nothing much with this week. Basically, I need to start up Primal again now that that's going. The new Better Call Saul, I think, answered all the questions that we had about what's going to happen with the rest of the episodes.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to touch on that later, we can. But all I know is pretty much like that was a heck of a time jump. They're like, all right, everything's done. We're caught up now.
Well, without getting like spoilers, everybody's been wondering when it's going to make that jump from Jimmy to Saul, and this was the most heart-wrenching and clever way to do it, to show us that jump from him being Jimmy to Saul Goodman.
Yeah, that was a heck of a cut, and I liked it though. I was like, wow, they're jumping right into to Saul. I mean,
Yeah.
he already was Saul, but they're jumping into full.
Well, we get to see where like his exact jump into the character we know in Breaking Bad is, because up until this point we've seen him take on the name and everything, but we haven't seen him be the Saul from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was heartbroken, but it definitely was like a sad moment. And you just hear the zipping up of the luggage, and then all of a sudden that zipping leads to the cut to where you cut to, okay, now he's full on Saul Goodman. I like how he's starting off in the daytime with the phone call he has, and then the hooker comes in. He's like, hey, take a breakfast bar. I leave them out for everybody.
Yeah.
And he's just like brokering deals over the phone. I was like, man, that's an on point Saul Goodman thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great cut. The worst part is it's throughout the entire series, it's basically been, when are we going to get Saul Goodman? And now it's, I wish we didn't get Saul Goodman. This hurts.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what else happens, man. It was very intriguing. So wait a minute. I thought you was going to see Nope.
I didn't see it yet. I didn't get a chance this weekend.
Oh, wow. All right. I don't feel as jealous anymore.
Yeah. I have my ticket for Tuesday. Good old free popcorn day.
Okay. Yeah, I came into this podcast saying I know Brad's gonna talk about Nope. Let me just swallow my pride and let him talk about it. Due to certain external circumstances, I couldn't see it like I wanted to. But
yeah, how is that boycott of Jordan Peele's material going?
Not well. I think I'm party of one. Nah, man, I ain't boycott.
You're the solo person in the boycott, just still going, come on, guys, we got to hold out.
You can't release films with one-word titles.
Right.
Nah, man, due to certain circumstances, I couldn't see it, but I had my ticket pre-ordered, but because something came up, I couldn't see it on time. I'm going to still see it. I hope it's not as long as like by the time it comes out on pay-per-view or whatever.
Yeah, I plan to see it on Tuesday, so I'll definitely brag about it at that point.
All right, man. Well, I hope it's good. Let me know. You ready to head in?
I think I'm ready for this one.
Okay. Okay, it's depending on which order we're going, I know one that I just have to start off. You want to go chronological?
Um, you know what? Yeah, let's do chronological.
Why not? Why not? All right. Swiss Army Man. So this is written and directed by Daniels. The Daniels we know that did the film where Brad had a dumb take, and that was
I had the best take.
Everything Everywhere All at Once, where we got invited into Brad's delusion. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this was their debut film, wasn't it? Their debut.
Yeah, this was their debut. So this was the first movie that they were able to release into theaters that got them all of the praise for their upcoming movie. Well, at the time, upcoming film writing for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is funny because when they were doing a Ask Me Anything about this movie, you actually
I told
brought
you
this
about
up
that.
to me, that they teased Everything Everywhere All at Once by saying that they were working on a script, that they were like, pending title was How to Play Piano with Hot Dog Fingers or something like that.
No. Pending title was Hot Dog Fingers, and he said the film was about how hard it is to do your taxes. And
that's right, yeah.
And then one of the Daniels said this, and then he said like, yeah, but the other Daniel was like, that title sounds dumb, so we're just talking about it right now. I, I, I don't know how you get that to what we saw at theaters, but hey, man, inspiration comes from the weirdest places. Yeah. Okay, anyway, let's just give a quick synopsis. So basically, Hank is a man that's he's deserted on an island. When the film starts, we find him at a point where he's about to commit suicide. You know, he hasn't gotten anybody to rescue him. He's tried multiple times, we assume, to get off the island, and he's at the end of his rope. It is what it is. So at the point where he's about to step off of a crate and hang himself, I think it was a crate, right?
No, it was like a lunchbox kind of thing.
Like a lunch, right? He finds Daniel Radcliffe's body, we assume to be lifeless at the time, washed up on the shore. So he goes, "Hey, wait a minute!" Accidentally hangs himself, but luckily enough, the string isn't strong enough, so he falls down anyway. Mm-hmm. He walks over to the corpse. He tries to see if it's still alive, and the corpse starts farting. And you know, he's thrown off by it at first, but then he realizes, okay, it's just a farting corpse. Like I'm done. So he takes the corpse's belt, says, "Let me try again." He goes back up to try to hang himself again, but then he realizes that the body has like a violent reaction when it farts. So then he kind of gets a light bulb idea and goes, "Wait a minute, I can use this body as a rocket ship to get out of here." And so that in itself leads into the insanity that is Swiss Army Man, as it's him getting on the corpse, pulling his pants down, and flying across the ocean into the title credits.
Yeah, that's definitely how this movie starts off. So this was your first time seeing this movie?
It was, man. For a long time, I always told myself I would see it. I started it one day, and I got sidetracked. I got it right to the point where it got to the title credits, and I go, "This is gonna get weird." But then something came up, and I said, "Oh, I gotta finish this another time." But then when you brought this idea up for this episode, I said, "All right, now's my chance to finally watch this movie."
And I'm glad that you didn't have to go walk your goldfish this time after that main title sequence, so you could actually finish this.
Yeah, I had to go return the film to Blockbuster.
Yeah,
that's all the way in Oregon.
Yeah.
Look, man. I'm gonna give you the good news. I'm gonna give you the good news first. This film is very well made. In all of its insanity, it's very well made.
Right. Yes.
I gotta be honest, man. This film kind of, for the most part, it tested my patience as I was watching it.
Really?
Dude, listen, you know me. I'm down for a good, weird time. I am. And I figure like, okay, Harry Potter and he wasn't the Riddler back then, but you know, Harry Potter and the Riddler. or that creepy guy from There Will Be Blood. I'm down, you know. And I was with it for a while, but then I was like, okay, where the hell is this going? Where is this going? Like it's just it just I laughed at some scenes. I did, but some scenes were kind of like, it's like the more the film went on, the more uncomfortable I got.
I think that was kind of the point of some of the scenes, though,
No,
was to make you feel
I know.
uncomfortable.
No, I
Because
know.
it's literally the human emotion of like being alone and being by yourself and everything like that. So he has Manny there, but to him, Manny is still a corpse. He's not a real person. He has to explain life to this person and everything. And meanwhile, this person has the ability to fart fires, and launch stuff from his mouth like a catapult.
I love how he's trying to bring meaning out of this film, folks.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead.
No, it's so the film is extremely weird, 100%, but it is kind of it has some really good like lines and everything like that. Like when he's explaining, different things in the world, like what love is and everything like that, and kind of giving his perspective on it. Right. We have Manny being, basically a complete amnesiac, who is getting everything explained to him like a child. First off, Hank is an absolute genius when it comes to artistry and like creating everything. I absolutely love how it would constantly be him like creating like people out of like milk cartons and puppets and stuff like that. Like he built like an entire theater to like be able to show Manny what movies are and everything. And it's the creativity behind this movie and how he basically presents life to a corpse.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is insane.
I listen, and I like that weirdness about it. I like how it talks about not the human condition, but the human connection. I like that, and I like that it showed a little bit of like that showing strength behind the friendship. Listen, I don't think you could get just anybody to play these roles, man. I feel you need two great weird actors. Not saying they're weird, but they like to take weird roles, like Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe to do this. Like the only other couple people I could maybe imagine is probably Elijah Wood and Lakeith Stanfield. Mm-hmm. Maybe them. Other than that, there's not a lot of actors that could play these roles.
Well, you have, first off, Daniel Radcliffe is a fantastic actor. Mm-hmm. And this was during that time where he was basically doing anything he could to have fun making movies again and get away from being called Harry Potter constantly. So he was just taking on anything that looked like it would be fun to make that would throw people off, from being like, oh, this is Harry Potter.
He was in his Robert Pattinson phase where he was trying to get away from Twilight. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't think it's bad to be attached to Harry Potter. People love that series.
They do, but at the same time, he's mentioned it before that he finds it annoying that he's basically from a child got stranglehold into this one role that everybody like expects from him now.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, man. Look. The acting is on point, and so is the directing. It's just I know it was the point of the film, but there was a time where I was watching the film and they were having a little dance montage.
Oh, like, using the strings to like
right, and the strings are like trying to move Manny, and I'm just looking at myself. I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, I hope he doesn't screw that corpse, man. I hope they don't show a scene of them screwing, man. Please don't. And I don't know. It's like the movie makes you uncomfortable. Like I get it. I get what it's doing. It's just I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's supposed to make you uncomfortable because basically you have a guy walking around with a corpse that there's a question of, is this corpse actually doing this stuff? Is this a magical kind of movie? Or is this guy literally dragging a corpse that he found on the beach around with him? Because we see that he really wasn't far from civilization at the end. when they start walking into the forest and everything like that after he finds people. And so that means that he's literally just basically been crouching in this one lady's backyard for years, just making all these houses and buildings and everything like that, and all these props of people,
What, man? I didn't go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. So it comes down to how insane is this person at the end? How much of this is reality? How much of it is in his head? And how much of it was him basically thinking that this corpse was real? How much did he need this corpse to be real to be able to have somebody to talk to? Because he saw himself as a loser. Throughout the movie, he mentions that he didn't think that he deserved to have friendship or love or anything like that. He didn't have a relationship with people because he thought himself as a loser. So how much did he want this corpse to be there to be a friend for him?
Man, I gotta be honest. It took me a while to catch on that he was in the backyard the entire time, because I had thought that he had arrived at the backyard because he was initially on the island. I thought he eventually arrived there after the whole montage in the beginning.
Yeah, no, because if you think of it that way, that he arrived there, that means that he literally rode a farting corpse across the ocean to get to that backyard area.
But based off what we see in the final shot, that's not far off, right?
Right. It turns out that, all the house and everything that he's built basically throughout the entire movie that we've been seeing him build up is literally right there behind this one girl's backyard. And I love how she has no idea who he is at all. So this is just some creepy thing where all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we found this cell phone on the corpse and it has your photo as the background of it and a bunch of these other pictures of you and everything. Right. It's like it boils down and makes it go from oh, this poor guy who was stuck in an island to this guy was a creep. What the hell is going on here? And then you find out he was literally basically in her backyard the entire time. And it's like, that's even worse. And he's just dragging a corpse around as well.
This scene kind of crossed the line for me. I understand from a comedy standpoint, it's sometimes comedy crosses the line. You don't know where the line is. And it's brave. This whole film is brave.
That's one way of putting it. Yes.
This whole film is brave, but the scene where they run into the little girl, Sarah's daughter, and Manny passes gas, and she's like, "That's gross." No, that's not gross. Then all of a sudden, he makes himself. I can't even say it. And then he just kind of chops it down. You can't do that in front of her. I'm like, dog, why would you? Who wrote that, man? Which Daniel wrote that scene? Because I'm like, man, you have a demented mind. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh, I know what scene you're talking about. The scene where he's using his, what was it? Civilization finding dick powers.
Who wrote that scene, man? That is sick. That is sick, dude. That was sick. But okay, man. I don't. That ending, dog. Let me talk about the ending for a second. So, this movie is so absurd, man. When he takes the corpse to the beach, and he's like, Manny, you're my friend. We gotta show him. We gotta show them that you're real, even if they don't believe it. I believe in you, or whatever. What does he crap on himself or does he fart? What?
No, he farts. He just farts himself back into the ocean and gives.
Not that. I'm talking about Hank when he said, I can do it too. And the everybody.
Oh no, he just farts.
Oh, okay. I thought he crapped himself, but anyway, the cop is taking him away, and then it happens again. The cop is like, "All right, man, that's enough." He said, "No, that wasn't me."
And then it's that dramatic look back at Manny's body, which is now convulsing.
This was the funny. This is the funniest scene to me in theory. In retrospect, the body starts farting to the point where it takes itself back into the ocean, and everybody except Sarah and her husband, their child is just like amazed by this, and the father
the child is having the time of its life watching this.
Right, and the father's just nodding there, smiling, like yeah. I'm like, and then they the course smiles at him in the end. I'm like, dude, this is just so stupid. Like, what is the point of this? Like, what would because I'm like, it was such a poignant ending for such a dumb movie. Like the dad was just there smiling and like nodding at his son. I'm like,
are you saying that ending wasn't deserved?
What's the nod of understanding between his father and him, where he's just like, okay, I get it now. Like, what?
So now that you've seen how this movie ends in a way that you could have never expected, do you see where my disappointment, where the ending of Everything Everywhere at Once comes from?
No, I don't. I feel like that was a good ending for that movie. Like, I feel like that actually their writing got better, because
their writing did get better. I will say that.
To me, Everything Everywhere is a masterpiece. It will take time to really decide that, but I really feel like it was a well done movie that wasn't dumb. Like it had meaning to it. It was about the meaning of life, and and how you kind of question that stuff when you're doing your taxes. Like, what's the point of all of this? Like, I feel like there was real depth grabbed out of that movie, where this is about a crazy stalker dude with a farting corpse. I mean, that's what this movie is. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong.
You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not wrong. That's what this movie was. And I was like, all right, man, sometimes A24 fails. It's okay.
I'm surprised that you consider this one a failure. I thought this movie was absolutely hilarious front to back. And listen,
it does what it does, and it does what it does well. But it doesn't mean that what it does is necessary. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that what it does needs to be done.
But at the same time, this movie is hilarious. I love this movie. And especially Daniel Radcliffe's acting in it as a corpse that doesn't understand anything. Every time anything's going on, he's like, what is that? What is that happening for? The scene where they have like the bear and stuff like that, and they like climb into the tree.
That scene is so stupid. Oh, this movie is stupid, dude. I think I had to be disarmed through talking about it, because when I first saw it, I was like, man, what the fuck is this? Like, I had heard reviews about it, and I was like, it can't be that bad. I'm sure it's made by some well-known, it's made by some good directors. And I'm watching it like, yo, this is something else. Like,
this movie has a very high critical praise on it.
No,
you said that like you don't believe me.
No, I believe you, but I'm just like, hey man, there's a lid for every pot. It's okay. I don't know, man. I kind of look at this movie as it's a well done movie. Like, if Edgar Wright directed Biodome, that's what this is.
See, this is an extremely absurdist movie. Yeah. And I can get behind that 100%. I absolutely loved how stupid and off the wall it went at times and everything. Even one of like Daniel Radcliffe's lines in this movie is, if my best friend is hiding his farts from me, what else is he hiding? That line still cracked me up when he said it, because he put such emotion into it. Like, he's offended at this concept.
Right. I feel like this is one of those movies that's like, it makes me laugh to talk about it. When I was in the moment watching it for the first time, I was really, it really threw me for a loop, because I was like, man, what is this? Like, because I heard at Sundance there was walkouts, and I was like, well, they walk out of anything, like, and I was like, okay, I understand. I understand. I wouldn't have walked out. I would have wanted to see where it was going, but I understand.
Yeah, it's a very kind of absurd movie when it comes to everything that's going on. But that's what I loved about it, is because you never knew what was coming next with it. It definitely kind of faltered your expectations. And even at the end, when you're like, okay, well, this is where it gets caught out that he's a freak and, you know, he's been stalking this girl and everything like that, hiding in her backyard, more or less, you know, for who knows how long. And you know, it's all going to come together. And then the corpse, you know, farts itself back into the ocean and smiles back at everybody as they watch. And it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to take of this movie anymore.
Yeah, it truly is absurd. I was almost I had thought the father was the father of Daniel Radcliffe's body at first, until I heard the people say, like, because he had thought that was his son. And he was like, because like Paul Dano was like hiding and stuff and looking at his dad, and he's like, I don't even want to see him. I'll just walk away. And then somebody was like, oh, you know, he jumped off a bridge, and you know, nobody can probably identify him. You know, nobody cares or anything like that. And I was like, oh, okay, he was a guy. And I like that from a writing standpoint, because he was about to commit suicide, because he committed suicide. And in the beginning, Paul Dano's character was about to commit suicide. Now, I'll give the film points on that. That comes full circle when we realize Daniel Radcliffe's like origin, that piece of dialogue. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I listen. I understand the acclaim. I understand the praise. It's more fun to talk about than watch. I get us a 2.5.
2.5, really?
Yeah, it was well made. It was just a well made, dumb movie.
Yep. Oh, this is a 3.5 to me.
Nope. Yep.
All right. I feel like how you felt when I gave Matrix. What did I give Matrix?
You gave it more than a 1, and that was already too much.
Yeah, man. This movie was over the top. It was just over the top.
It was, and that's what I loved about it. It was just absolutely absurd comedy based around a dead body that is able to basically be used as a Swiss Army knife to get anything done that they needed. Like, I love how he was using his head to beat down like a hammer to like get spikes in the ground and stuff like that. Because when you think about what the reality of this movie is it's some creepy dude who stalks a woman, hides in her backyard, found a body washed ashore, and then was using it as like a toolbox in order to, you know, build this hut in her backyard.
Yeah. Hey, what, you really don't think he was in the ocean at all? You thought he was in the backyard the whole time?
I think he was there the whole time. It's either that or I don't know. It's because at the same time, if you acknowledge that he was actually trapped on another island, you have to acknowledge that the farting corpse is a real thing, which means that everything the farting corpse did in that movie was real.
Right. Which in the end, he does fart away in the ocean. Or you could almost say that last scene where he's farting away in the ocean is all in his head, and he's making up a happy ending in his head.
Right, which is a possibility. But if you think that he was on another island in the beginning of the movie, you have to think that the end of it was all real as well.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It makes you ponder a little bit, like what's going through Paul Dano's character psyche. I don't know, man. Maybe. I just want to know how the A24 meeting went, where somebody read the script and they went, you know what, man? Let's just do it. Let's just be legends. You know, like the movie would go fine.
They probably saw Daniel Radcliffe was attached to it, and at the time they were just like, yeah, greenlight it. What's the movie called? Swiss Army Man. It's going to be great. It's probably going to be some army memorial kind of film starring Daniel Radcliffe.
No way. No. They read the script. And they went, you know what, man? Why not? Like,
this is our next hit.
I want to know how that meeting went, dude. Because, wow. I mean, wow. I'm done with this one, man. I'm done. We can move on.
You got nothing more to add about this amazing movie?
Nothing more to add, man. I'm all set.
So that brings us to the next movie, Sorry to Bother You, starring
Yes.
Lakeith Stanfield as the main character, Cassius, aka Cash,
Hmm.
who is a struggling person that gets a job as a telemarketer
Hmm.
and eventually gets up to the big players room where he makes a lot more money selling various things, mostly weapons and employees and workers and people, more or less.
Hmm.
And that is the broadest stroke of this movie that I can come up with without diving into what is more of an absurdist movie as well.
Well, so yeah, I mean, like he adopts the the white accent just to see
Yep.
that his job, and I like how like the first part of the film is like it's a take on code switching, but the moment we get to that third act, this becomes something completely different.
Yeah, this movie takes like a hard left when it's going through its plot.
Hmm.
And the best part is it keeps its same theme and everything like that, where it's, you have the different class systems and everything like that. But one class system is always going to prevail over the other, no matter what they do, say, or think. As long as they continually make money, they're going to be at the top of the line, no matter what. And in order to break that line, it basically is almost impossible to do so. And
Hmm.
at that point, once you break it, you can only fail upwards even more. There's nothing you can do to break out of that trend.
Right. Um. So I mean, hey, listen. Let me say this off the top, dude. This film does not have enough Danny Glover, man. Like I
No,
love
not at
his
all.
scenes had me laughing, dude. Like I love Danny Glover, man. I like how he's at the bar, right? And he's drinking. And Lakeith says, "Hey, you're not gonna go dancing?" He said, "Man, I'm too old for that shit." like, he says, "What happened to the wolf? The wolf, wolf." Now you gotta damn near dislocate your shoulder and start dancing. I was started laughing. Like Danny Glover has some funny lines in this movie.
Yeah, I also love how he's the one to introduce the white voice to Cash's character,
Right, right.
and which is, I think, one of the funniest like in jokes in this movie that constantly comes up is no, use your white voice.
Right.
And I love how we had David Cross, Patton Oswald, and Lily James as the white voices for the main characters.
Yeah, yeah. At first, I thought it was I forgot it was Lily James. I thought it was somebody else at first, but then I was like, I looked at the credits. I said, "Oh yeah, that was Detroit's white voice, Lily James."
Yeah.
First
Oh,
of
and
all,
I love the little small jokes in this movie as well. Like with Detroit's name, why did your parents name you that? They wanted me to have an American name.
I was just about to
Detroit
say
is a
that.
French word.
Exactly. It's really Detroit. It's really Detroit.
Yeah.
Like, really? I thought that was again. That's the kind of off the cuff, like weird dialogue that makes this film special, man.
Yeah.
Like I was gonna
I
say, go ahead.
Yeah, it's that kind of very like subtle humor that if you don't get the joke, it'll go over your head and the movie will keep going. It's not going to take you out of it. But if you
Right.
do get the joke, it just makes the content of it so much better when they're having these conversations.
Hey man, Stephen Yoon's character Squeeze. Like,
Oh god.
I like when he first meets Cassius. He goes, man, you asked a good question in there. Cassius goes, I mean, yeah, don't we all want to get paid? Yeah, but you asked a really good question in there. It's like, okay. And then he was like, yeah, a player got to figure out how to get the dimes on this piece. And he's like, what does that mean? He goes, we're starting a union. Cracking up. Like this movie just has like great dumb moments and it's like that in this movie.
It does. And I love how, even with the entire protests and stuff like that. Because once that starts, that's going throughout the entire movie. We just see from Cash's perspective that it's no longer a critical part of his life anymore. Once he gets into what is it, the big caller room?
The power caller room.
The power caller room, yes.
Yeah.
So once he reaches that point and everything like that, those problems no longer become his own, but there's still problems for his girlfriend, Detroit, and Squeeze and his other friend. I'm trying to remember his name. That's in the call center. Salvador, yes. So it becomes kind of their problem, and even though he was once their friend and everything, he's reached a point where he no longer can connect with them with that because he's now in the big players room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was gonna say I like the dialogue between him and Salvador when he makes his stance where Cassius he chooses to stay at the company because he's become a power caller, and their talk of like arguing just leads to like passive aggressive positive comments like I wish you a lot of success in your future, brother. He says, "Oh yeah, oh you smell nice. Oh, you smell nice too." Like, what is like?
Let's get drinks later. We'll have 2 drinks, 3, 4, 5. We'll get as many drinks as we want.
Right, like it's on me. No, I'll cover it. No, it's on me now. It's all on me now.
Yeah, there's a lot to this movie that basically we see him go through. When it comes to reaching that top of the chain and kind of losing the people around him at the same time. Mm-hmm. And he wants to help them, but at the same time, he doesn't want to lose what he has because he's reached the top status of what he thinks his life can reach. And he doesn't want to lose that grasp because it's gotten him a nice house. It's gotten him a nice car. It's gotten him everything that he's wanted in his life. He basically just sold himself out to doing what he always strongly believed was wrong in the world in order to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what, man? The first time I watched it, I thought he was good for what he did, but second time watching it, Armie Hammer is pretty funny in this movie.
Oh yeah, as the big shot CEO.
Yeah, he surprises me because like when he first showed up, I was like, okay, this is the guy we've been building up to for a while, the CEO. But I like in his scene, like when he first meets him, he's like, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you, such and such. And the guy doesn't shake his hand; he just stares at him. And Mr. Bleep, he's like, hey, he's just friendly. He's a friendly guy. And then he's like, oh man, don't call me Mr. That. He says, oh, okay, Steve. He says, I didn't say you call me Steve. And he just like stares at him and he goes, I'm just messing with you, man. Call me whatever you want. You keep making those calls.
Yeah, you keep making that money. You can call me whatever you want.
Right. And I like how straight Lacey acts after he shows him the video about turning people into horses.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, what kind of, he said, what did I just snort? He says, come on, man, chill out. He says, no, what did I just snort? It was Peruvian. There's horses in Peru. What does that mean? He says, dude, you're making me paranoid right now.
Yeah. You are so hyped up. You're killing my mellow right now. You need to calm down.
Right. And he's like, it was coke, man. It was coke. He just says that so calmly with the gun in his hand, waving it, right, telling him, no, we need to finish this movie. I need to get your opinion on this movie we made. A lot of money went into this.
Yeah, I love like the just the corporate subcontext of how this movie plays out and everything like that of, we want to be able to control the narrative and we need somebody inside that we can control to control that narrative. And he's like, so you want me to be like a new leader? And they're like, no, we want you to be like the new Martin Luther King for Esqua Sapiens. Esqua Sapiens is what they're called, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And it just goes to show, like, I love how they basically just dog on corporate culture like that, because that is exactly how it is. They always want to be able to control the situation and be able to, be able to go, no, we're playing the good guy here, but we're controlling it from the background.
We want the token black guy to stand right here and be like, hey, everything's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing to worry about. Dude, like I say, for a directorial debut, this is very well written as a satire.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well directed. Like Boots Riley did a great job with this, man. Like this a film like this has like a very you do see some kind of first film kind of hiccups here and there, but it's like it has a very assured voice to it.
It does. And, even some of the like little jokes, like the TV show of people getting hurt and doing stupid stuff is like the most watched thing. And the only way for him to get his message out there, because no news outlet trusts him or will put it out, is for him to literally go on this, like, I'm trying to think of like what show it would be like basically like Wipeout or something.
I got the crap kicked out of me or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is very like disturbing. Like,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's this one shot where a girl is straight up getting punched and people are like, wow, dude, that's so funny. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's horrible. Like that's like in This Is America, you've seen that music video. Everybody has.
Oh yeah.
Where Donald Glover shoots up the Christian choir, and you're like, oh my God, what is this? But that is a thing that we as Americans are entertained by.
Mm-hmm.
Look at biggest show of all time on MTV, Jackass.
Oh
These
yeah.
people, they were hurting themselves, and we thought it was entertaining. Yeah, man. And then he had all the feces dripping from him, and he was like, I'm here to tell you about the conspiracy. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
He literally, and it wasn't even only that too. He went through a couple things before they let him actually speak. Mm-hmm. And the only reason he got on the show in the first place is because he was another thing that I love that they got absolutely accurate is, basically turning memes into like cultural points. Mm-hmm. Where the person threw the can at him and all of a sudden you have people as like the guy that got hit in the head with a can as a costume that kids are wearing and everything like that. Like he became a national phenomenon because of this moment, because it got popular online for that video. And this movie actually took that in like the perfect direction, where people that are in these circumstances they don't want to be in become popular because something happened that they were around at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Like there are moments in this film where there are moments that are filmed in a quirky, absurd way, where in other scenes it's funny, and in some scenes it's like, oh man, that's horrible. Like like this film, I'll give this in this connection to Swiss Army. Like this film disarms you at some points. Like it can show you like something very disturbing or like out of nowhere, and you're like, what is going on? And then it reels you right back in to to understand, like, okay, I know that was weird, but here's why we showed that. Right. Like it keeps you engaged with what's going on.
Yeah, it definitely manages to pull that through. And even when it takes that like hard left and kind of brings in the entire idea of the Equisapiens and how people are being turned into horse people in order to work harder and everything. The fact that once it comes out that they're doing this, that their stocks rise because they found a better way to make it more efficient workers, is absolutely what would happen if that happened in reality. Like if Apple came out tomorrow and was like, we found a way to turn people, into actual workhorses in order to, boost productivity in warehouses across the world, people would be putting in pre-orders to get that formula to give it to their employees. Like companies would have bidding wars to get the first like couple of samples out from that. There would be a whole market for a bootleg version of it. It would actually take over the same that it did in this movie.
Yeah, I believe that. It's hard to fathom something like that, but I do believe that could happen. Like, every day I think Mike Judge's Idiocracy was a prophetic vision.
Oh yeah.
When I look at Herschel Walker, our good air goes to China's bad air, and then their bad air comes to our good air. and we gotta clean that back up. I'm like, this dude is leading, not leading, but he has a good fan base in Georgia. And you look at that, and you look at Idiocracy, you look at the job market, and you look at Sorry to Bother You. You go, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, it's a terrifying thing, but it's like, yeah, it's funny, but then you think about it and you're like, that's not so funny. That's hitting in the real spot right now. I don't like this. This is
Oh, dude,
turn it off.
The worry-free thing, man. Like when I first
Yes.
saw that in theaters, I was like, that's slave labor. Like that's slaves. But you know, and then I like how that plays on the MTV Cribs part of it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. This is where we eat our fantastic meals that Worry Free gives us free of charge.
Right, right. And if some people said that predicted work from home, I don't think so. But
No, that one wasn't predicting work from home. That was literally just trying to create like a contracted slavery route. It was basically just bringing up the topic of people being owned by a corporation instead of being owned by people, just in a different light. And I love how in the interview when they're with him and going, look, Worry Free is not forcing people to sign these contracts. It's not like we're waving a gun in front of them while we're presenting this to them and forcing them to sign on the spot. And then later we see when Cash is in the office with him, he's literally doing that. He's waving a gun around while going, look, we need you to do this for us.
hey, I like how like the scene I was talking about earlier when Cassius starts to wonder if he took the wrong snorting powder. He's like, you know, Artie starts waving the gun like subtly. He's like, hey man, I don't even care about that anymore. Am I gonna turn into a horse? Like I don't care about that gun anymore. Am I gonna turn into a horse?
Yeah. Yeah, I love how he also has that fascination with, look, dude, you'll get turned into a horse. It'll only be for 5 years. That entire time, you're gonna have a giant horse dick, you know. And it's like he's trying to sell this concept to him and everything. I love that. That's also one of the first things that he like has his girlfriend check. Is like, does it look bigger to you? Like, is it happening? Did I actually snort that serum?
She's like, I'm glad you're feeling yourself. Like, is this why you called me?
Yeah.
And like, hey, didn't he offer him $100 million?
Yeah, $100 million for 5 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was funny. But what was I about to say? Yeah, I I thought Steven Yeun's Squeeze character was pretty interesting.
Mm.
One scene that made me laugh was I like how he came up to her when she was messing with the sign, and like he takes it and just effortlessly just does it like way better than her. And he starts doing the upside down splits or whatever.
Yeah.
She goes, oh man, you're pretty good at this. And he goes, he says, yeah, I spent a lot of time in LA.
Yeah, I love the throwaway lines like that. Also, when they're at her art exhibit and she's doing I guess the art presentation where people are throwing the cell phones and the water balloons filled with paint and stuff at her. And Cash like jumps in and goes, wait, you can't do this. What are you doing this for? And everything. She's like, this is the art project. You know, this is what I got to do. This is my life. This is what I have to do. And then later there's like the foil to that when he's at the party and everything. And they're like, oh, come on, you gotta know how to rap, right? Come on, rap for us. You know, you can totally do it. Just do it, you know? And it's like, oh, those two scenes like side by side, like him trying to stop something and then him, you know, digging into the same thing that she's trying to present as a problem.
I didn't make that connection at first.
You didn't make that connection before?
I didn't, but that is interesting. I was gonna say that scene of her saying, "Look, this is my art. This is what I do." Like it is kind of a mirror of him saying, like, I have to do this power calling thing. Like it's what I'm good at. This is my new career. I want to make something out of myself. Like I would say that was the mirror of that, but that makes sense. She's going through the humiliation thing. He humiliates himself to save face at the CEO party.
Yeah. So
man.
she's basically making a statement that this is a problem, and then he tries to stop it and then falls into it himself, the exact problem she's trying to like bring light in through her art.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
See, this movie has layers, man.
it
Like,
does. I absolutely love this movie. I want to say this is probably like the third or fourth time that I've seen it.
okay, it's like my second.
Yeah, because I saw it in theaters. I saw it in a screening. And then later I did see it again in theaters with a group of people. And then I can't remember if I finished watching it fully, but I did watch it one time when it like came out on like Blu-ray and everything like that as well. And then this time.
Now, did you now you were critical of who you like you were very selective of who you saw this with, right?
The first time, no.
What'd you say? What'd you say with the first time?
The first time I saw this one, I brought a couple friends with me and everything like that. And this was very interesting to watch because it was one of my friends, Ferris, was with me. And
Okay.
yeah, he had a completely different outlook on this movie than I did the first time.
Okay. All right. I understand. I understand. Yeah, like this is a movie I can't just recommend to anybody. I don't
Right.
I don't think I would recommend Swiss Army at all, but
No.
I could maybe recommend this to a few friends, this movie.
Right. Yeah. This one, yeah, I've seen it with a couple different people and everything like that. And it's interesting to see like the different perspectives people grab from it,
Mm-hmm.
having watched it and everything. But yeah, it's a great movie.
Oh yeah, it definitely is. I enjoy it, man. It's very well made. Like I said, there are some like debut film hiccups. Like there are some parts that apply, and some characters I feel don't aren't really needed or add anything. Like I usually like Terry Crews, but I felt like his Sergio, he was kind of just there.
I
Like
think his character was more meant to show that he was coming from poverty, basically. Like he was living in a garage that he was renting from his uncle, and
right,
his
right.
uncle didn't even have enough money to pay for the house at the same time. So he was basically relying on cash in order to rent his garage so he could pay for the house. But even then, even with the money from cash, he still didn't have, the money to be able to afford the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the VI. I'm not gonna pick the film apart, but the one VIP room in the beginning where him and his friend are hanging out in the bar, he looks over and says, "Hey, what's that room?" He says, "Oh, that's the VIP room. They got different passwords." Like
Or no, you got in order to get in, you got to know the password. This week
password
it's
a month.
this. And
Right,
it's always been that.
right. I thought that scene kind of fell a little flat, but like I said, like those are like minor hiccups. Otherwise, it's a very well made movie. I get it's a solid 4.
Nope. Yeah, this is a 4 for me. Yep. Very easily. I love this one. It does have a couple weird pacing problems with it when it comes to some of the scenes, but overall, amazing movie. And for being a directorial kind of, debut, because this was his directorial debut, right?
It was.
Yeah. Absolutely spot on.
Um, yeah, man. All right. So I say when it comes down to it, oh, so Swiss Army Man wins out to you? Wait, did you give
Uh,
that a 4.5?
I gave it a 3.5.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I,
I know that I gave it higher than you, but don't try and project that as I'm saying it's a perfect movie.
if you're giving that thing anything other than anything over a 2.7, I don't know, man. That you might as well be calling it a perfect 5. But okay. All right. So sorry to bother you wins out then.
Yeah, by far. Sorry to bother you. It's subcontext, it's humor, it's use of characters, and cinematography and everything like that. Like even when you're going through the parts where he is the telemarketer, and literally as soon as he picks up the phone, his entire desk like it falls down into whatever situation he's calling into, whether it be somebody at their dinner table, somebody on the toilet, whatever it is, his desk falls right there. And you get that, you got to make it personal with the caller and everything. And that's how he's perceiving it in his mind of him dropping into these situations that he's not prepared for at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting because these are both like absurdist directorial debuts. We just happened to luck out on this one. I didn't even see that connection that these are both debut movies.
Yeah, I kind of forgot that Sorry to Bother You was his debut.
Yeah. All right, man. What did you oh, I gotta talk. You're the Marvel guy. So what do you feel about all the announcements we heard so far?
So as a Marvel fan, I am excited for it. I absolutely love the idea of what we're getting, especially since we're getting the Avengers, Kang Dynasty, and a Secret Wars Avengers movie. I absolutely am hyped for that as well, as long as they do it well, because Kang is like a terrifying villain throughout all of Marvel because he is kind of the multiversal threat when it comes to everything that exists. And Secret Wars is definitely the best way to close out a multiversal threat. At the same time, though, as a movie fan, I hate how we're getting these timeline things like so far in advance, because these movies aren't coming until like 2025. We don't need to know what's coming 3 years from now. Tell me what's coming next year. Tell me what's coming at the beginning of maybe 2024. Like, next year and maybe a couple months.
Like, I don't need to be hearing that Dune Part 3 is coming out in 2027. Man, I don't even know if we're gonna be alive by then. Like,
right.
we're dealing with like 5 different pandemics. Like, just tell me what's coming out in 2023. That's all I need to know right now.
Let me know what to be excited for this year and next year. You already said you're coming out with a Blade movie. I'm hyped for it. Okay. You telling me it's coming out at the end of 2024 makes me just go, well, why would I be excited for that right now? It doesn't matter. We're still 2 years out from seeing that. And you announced that, what, 2-3 years ago now?
Listen, I'm glad that James Cameron is making a whole saga to first Avatar film. But right now, as of this moment, I'm excited for Way of Water. I don't care about the others. I'm excited for what's coming.
I still don't know if that one's actually coming or not. I don't believe it yet.
Look, man, they keep showing it in theaters. I'd be very surprised if they postpone it to January or February. Okay, if they postpone it a whole nother year, I'd be surprised.
Really?
I would honestly be surprised.
Because we still only have that one trailer that they just keep showing over and over. Are you sure that isn't all that they've finished so far of the movie? Is that trailer that they're just using to hype up?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna have to trust it. Because I know every time I see that trailer, I just always remember, I know one day this family is our legacy or our destiny or something like that. Do you hear that? Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. No, then you get the pan to her. And then it's dun, dun, dun.
She doesn't gasp. She breathes a concerned sigh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have this trailer memorized just like the opening to AMC?
Kind of, yeah. I kind of do, because listen, man, Fox wants to make their money back. They're going to advertise that movie past opening day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If there's not a trailer for the movie playing before the movie, I would be shocked.
Like, anybody that's going to be in a different theater watching a different movie opening week, they're going to be like, why aren't you seeing Avatar? Let's play the trailer for you about 2 more times. Like, you're going to see this movie.
I just watch Disney buy out every theater inside every chain. So it's just all Avatar. That's all they play. There's nothing else at opening day. Just every theater you go to. You might buy a ticket for something else, but once you get into that theater, you're watching Avatar.
Okay. So, we finally got a first trailer, BP2. What'd you think? Black Panther 2.
I am super excited for it because first off, we're getting Ironheart in it, which I didn't expect her to be making her debut in this movie. Namor looks great. I am so excited to see him fully on this big screen. They're definitely playing into the idea of, the Black Panther being dead and finding a way to move on from that while also keeping Wakanda as a powerhouse in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm really excited to see where they decide to go with that and everything, and who they decide to play as the new Black Panther, because we do get a small glimpse of a new suit, meaning somebody is taking it up. And it's just a matter of who is the person taking it up.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks visually stunning. Like I feel like like Brian Coogler's doing a great job with the visuals and some of the action sequences I saw. I'll wait for it. It looks good. I like I told you, you told me you were getting a little worried that we might not get a trailer until like close soon to when it's about to come out. But I said no, it's Black Panther. They're gonna show it ahead of time.
Right. Well, it was just a matter of, you were saying that we were getting really close to it, and we hadn't seen anything from it. And I mentioned how it took forever for us to get like the first trailer for like Love and Thunder, even before that came out. So we're definitely coming up close. I expected us to get a little bit closer to it still. I didn't expect them to show it at San Diego. I expected us to get the trailers for She-Hulk and Black Adam. That was basically all I was expecting from. Right. But that's all I was expecting from like superhero kind of trailers from here. Surprisingly, we did get a trailer for John Wick 4, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't need a trailer for that. I'm already in.
Oh, like, right.
It's John Wick. Like that's every guy's movie. Come on.
Yeah. It was a flash sequence of him being a badass in little fight scenes. It told me everything I need to know about the movie. I'm all in.
It's John Wick.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Is at this point, I don't need a trailer. I'm just gonna see it. Man, I guess I'm kind of glad we didn't get Keanu Day now, because I think we would have had one great movie and one movie that was kind of like, all right, at least we supported, huh?
Right. Well, that was about 3 hours down the drain. But hey, John Wick, though.
Right. Blessing in disguise. I'd say blessing in disguise for sure. Yeah, man. New Captain America film. I don't know if I'm feeling the title. I don't know. New World Order sounds kind of creepy to me.
That one, I don't know if that's like the line in one of the comics or something like that they're pulling it from, or if it's going fully original. But again, I saw that and I was like, okay, cool. They're releasing that in like 17 years, whatever. What's coming out next year? Tell me more information on Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, more information on Marvels, and more information on, I'm trying to remember, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's what I want to see information on.
I just want to know, I know people like Daredevil. I know they like him. I still haven't seen the series yet. So I know it's good news for y'all that they're revamping, that they're doing the series again. They're rebooting it. It's a sequel, right?
That's a very good question. What is it? It's 18 episodes long. That's all we know.
Oh wow, 18 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 18 episodes. So they're doing that. And I'm like, well, what about my man Luke Cage? What about Jessica? What about I don't know about Iron Fist. I hear polarizing responses to him.
Iron Fist had a good actor on it. It had a bad script, is what the problem was.
Even the second season, when they changed writers?
Even the second season, they really didn't know what to do for an Iron Fist story. After the first season, they should have just gone to Heroes for Hire and tagged him with Luke Cage for another season. Like, that should have been what they did. It didn't make sense for what they were going for. Like, I get what Netflix was trying to do with their whole series and everything like that, and trying to be like, no, we'll put them together and then we'll build off that to separate them again. And it just didn't make sense. It was kind of like phase 2 of Marvel after the Avengers, where you're just like, but but why wouldn't Iron Man call Captain America in for this problem? Or why is Nick Fury not calling in Bruce Banner to help take care of this issue that Captain America's having?
Right.
You know, and phase 3 kind of started fixing that, where they were like, you know what? It does make sense for Captain America to appear in this, Captain, or this Iron Man kind of situation. It does make sense for, these characters to interact with each other.
I gotta be real, man. I don't consider Civil War to be a Captain America movie. I look at that as an Avengers film.
It is more or less an Avengers film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a really good Captain America story that they pulled into it, because he is the main character in it. It is about him dealing with, Bucky is back and everything like that. And he has to find it. And then he also has to deal with this entire thing where everything he believes in is being taken from him. And so,
yeah, all right. Yeah, you might have a point there. Yeah, so I mean, with all that being said, man, you said that you're so excited that Kang is coming. I don't know who Kang is, but so who's the final boss? Because everybody keeps saying, "Oh yeah, Thanos is he's the guy. Oh, Kang is the guy." Who's the final boss in hierarchy here?
So in terms of like Marvel overall, like who would be the final boss, like from the comics?
Yeah.
Whoever they feel like bumping up to be the strongest at the time. There's been times where Thanos is like the overall ruler of the universe and the biggest threat. There's times where it's Kang. There's times where it's Galactus. There's times where it's even Doctor Strange is the biggest threat to the universe. It depends on who they need to be the villain. It's the same way that like everybody is like, well, who would win in a fight, Hulk or Wolverine? And it's like whoever they need to win in that fight at that moment, that's who's gonna win.
Okay. You know who I would think would be interesting villain? Legion.
From
Legion, Xavier's son. Legion.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's an X-Men, but he would be interesting. But at the same time,
him and the Shadow King, I feel like they would be interesting villains.
Yeah. Well, we'll kind of see with it and everything like that. I don't know if they would make like universe or not multi-movie threats, but they would be good villains for like a single or double outing.
Yeah.
But when we're talking like Kang, like he's going to be the threat in Ant-Man. He's probably going to be the threat in one of the other movies coming up, and then he'll probably like come out as the big threat in Avengers Kang Dynasty. Like that's when they'll be like, okay, we got to take care of this guy.
So I assume Shang-Li is kind of going to be put to more use by then.
Shang-Chi.
I'm sorry. Shang-Chi. I assume Shang-Chi is going to be put to more use by then.
Hopefully. I mean, his next movie is probably coming in 2027, because we're so loaded with movies right now from Marvel. Like that's one thing I want to say that I've talked about this before. I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not, but I love that we have all these superheroes that now have their own movies. I hate that we're so loaded with them, though, that the sequels for them don't come out until years after.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know we're getting a sequel to Eternals. Who knows when? It's not in the books. It's not in anything. We had Blade announced like 3 years ago, and we finally got a date this week, and it's still 2 years out. Like,
we heard about it 3 years ago. Now we find out it's coming out 3 years from now.
Right. Yeah. So I love it. But at the same time, it's frustrating to be like, oh, yeah, well, it's cool, but we're not going to see a continuation of this for years.
Do you think it's overloaded?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know if the final fight here is going to give me, listen, Endgame, I've said it multiple times. I don't know. I probably said multiple times in this podcast. It's giving me everything I asked for. Mm-hmm. Like that was such a high. I haven't been brought back up since.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree. It's so far nothing's lived up to the high that movie gave when it came to just everything I wanted, from comic book knowledge to movie knowledge to seeing these characters through. But at the same time, I'm hoping that something pulls through. And when it comes to the movies, like Ant-Man and the Wasp are always enjoyable movies. I love them. I know that critics and there's a lot of fans that say that they're the weaker of the movies. I always have fun with them. I think they're hilarious. They're, good comedic timing. They got some good plot elements to them. I enjoy them. And I got a feeling I'll enjoy this one too.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Ant-Man fan. I mean, I like Paul Rudd, but I still haven't given those movies a chance. One day, you know. Yeah. All right. I guess that's all I gotta say on that one, man. You got anything else you want to add?
Nothing else to add. Just make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think about these two movies. Which one's the better one in your opinion? Maybe you think it's Swiss Army Man. Maybe you agree with us and it's Sorry to Bother You.
Please
Let us
be
know.
honest. Be honest. If you think Swiss Army Man is a well done movie, just be this is a safe space. You can be honest that and Anthony, you're right. That movie was it was dumb. We fell in with the critics, we fell in with the hype, and we said we liked it. Or if I'm wrong, then just say I'm wrong. Yeah.
I think you're more wrong.
We'll see. All right, y'all. Like, share, and subscribe. Like he said, y'all have a good one. Take care.